Yes, we are back. Finally, it is happening. I am your host, Tom Deek, and I welcome you here to a brand new season. 345 days ago, Lucas Blakely of McLaren Shadow became the world champion. Fast forward almost a year, and it's a brand new season, a brand new look. It's a LAN event, and we cannot wait to get started. The question is, though, who is going to be crowned this year's 2023 champion? Now, we are here at DreamHack Winter in Jönköping in Sweden. And if you didn't know by now, this is the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. So here we are then on the desk, and I'm not alone in this task, welcoming her back for another season in F1 Sim Racing, Steph Wentworth, and again, a familiar face, Mr. Hayden Gullis. Welcome to the show. It is live. We've waited such a long time. Steph, what does it mean to you to be back?
Oh, I'm so excited, especially in this LAN event. You can absolutely tell that everyone is buzzing, everyone's bouncing off the walls. So excited to get underway. Racing in Bahrain, fantastic season opener. Oh, I can't wait.
Well, Steph can't wait. Hayden, a live audience as well. Just behind, it's been years since this has happened in sim racing. You can hear them now. What does it mean to you to get started on the 2023 season?
Oh, I love it. Everybody's here. They're cheering on the drivers. The drivers now have a little bit of distractions that they're going to have to overcome. It's not necessarily just about the racing. It's also about how they deal with the pressure. And I, for one, cannot wait for this season to begin.
Okay, so you've been in a sim rig before. You're a sim racer yourself. What's it going to be different for a driver when you have a crowd? Is it going to spur some drivers on and maybe a bit of a hindrance for others?
Yeah, I mean, some drivers will thrive in this element. They're going to look over to the crowd when they make an overtake, see what the response is. Others are maybe going to be a little bit more tentative to them and maybe be a bit more of a distraction, whereas you're going to have those drivers who are solely focused, only looking at the screen, and we're going to see which one of those comes out on top.
Okay, now Hayden will be our roving reporter, a kind of Ted Kravitz in many respects, heading out to interview the drivers. Steph, he's over there to the McLaren Shadow side. He is the reigning world champion. He's definitely, coming into this season, the man to beat, isn't he?
Well, I assume you're not talking about Hayden. I assume you're talking about Lucas Blakely, who had a fantastic season last year. You were always rooting for him as the underdog when he started off with Aston Martin. And he came out on top last year, and he's definitely going to be gunning for that second championship, wants to retain that title. He's got all of the pressure on him. I think he's well equipped to deal with it. But will he, is the question.
Oh, he's equipped to deal with it. I'll tell you what, let's send Hayden off there now. Show us the setup, Hayden. Give us a tour around this incredible arena.
Well, I sure will. This is so exciting to once again be in a live event. Look at these incredible machines where the drivers are getting into their cockpits. All of the driving technicalities, the steering wheel, the pedals, all of those things are fundamentally the same. So it all comes down to the driver's skill, and they're also so close together. Maybe if we have an incident, we'll be able to see them walk down to another one of the garages and have it out with the drivers. We'll have to wait and see as they get up and running. We'll also have the team managers and head coaches who are in this area as well, and they're looking over all of the data on these screens to really help their drivers in terms of strategy, when to pit and all that sort of stuff. So they're back there doing very important jobs, at least I hope, or maybe they're just pretending to do work. We'll wait and see. Also, a big element, as I've said, of this live environment is the crowd, and it's kind of playing up to them. And one driver who loves to be in a live event is Danny Bresnay. Danny, we're back in a live event. What do you think of the setup that we have here?
Yeah, the setup looks awesome. These two starting grid kind of setups, they are really special, and it's never been like this before. And I'm really excited to be back into the LAN environment because I think this is the most fair racing possible. Same pieces, exactly the same equipment, exactly the same seats for every single team, as well as equal cars. So I think the best one may win.
I've said before that I feel like you're somebody who thrives in these conditions. We had 2018-19 where we were in live events and you had some really strong seasons. You know, 2020, 2021, 2022, they kind of got away from you a bit. Coming back here into a live event, are we going to see the best of Danny Berezne again?
I'm definitely doing my best, but I know the other drivers are also working hard, but I'm fairly optimistic that this will be one of the best seasons of my career.
Well, there we go. Danny is ready and raring to go. Tom, back to you.
There's many drivers here, and there's many characters, and Danny Berezne is such a character. Great to have him back. What's he driving for? That is what people want to know. There is a prize pool of $750,000. This is how it's split up. And something new for 2023, which I'd like you to break down for us, Steph, is this money going directly to the driver?
Well, it's got an interesting split for it. Previously, it would all be going towards the teams and they would split that up as they did. But there is now a specific prize pool for the driver, for whoever wins the overall championship, as you can see it broken down on the left-hand side there. But, Tom, something new that we have added this year, something very, very special, is the event champion. Now, this is whoever wins the overall event. There's going to be 5 events in total, and so whoever wins the event, accumulates the most amount of points over the races, will win a prize pool of $5,000 as well, which is an extra incentive for these drivers to keep going. And I think it's a great idea.
Hopefully they'll sort out a bar tab for everyone on the live audience here if they do win. Hayden, talk to me about the point structure. There's an addition this year, which is going to make things a little bit more interesting and more to play for, so to speak.
Yeah, we've got the addition of a point for pole position. Qualifying, starting at the front of the grid, is going to be a massive help, especially in F1 sim racing, where the drivers are all so close and overtaking can be difficult. So adding that additional pole position point just awards an extra factor for those drivers. The point system is relatively the same as real-life Formula 1, bar that 1 position for 1 point for pole position. If you win, you get 25 points, 18 for second, 15 for third, 12 for fourth, then 10 for fifth, and we've got 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 down in 10th position. If you finish 11th, you might as well finish last because there's no points for you there. Fastest lap will only be given to you if you are in that top 10. Of course, there we are, the pole position point.
Brutal.
Well.
You are brutal, Hayden Gullis. 11th, you may as well have finished last.
May as well go home.
No, that is not what we want. So with that extra point for pole position, someone like Freddie Rasmussen or other drivers, I mean, even Thomas Runner, 3 pole positions last year at 4 and didn't turn them into victories. This is going to add that extra thing for maybe the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, I mean, for both constructors and drivers. Seasons can come down to 1 point. We have seen it in previous real-life Formula 1 seasons. We could see it here where the championship comes down to 1 point, and it could all come down to 1 qualifying session where 1 driver got pole there. I really love as well the incentive for drivers for the event champion, stuff like that, because we've seen it before with someone like Freddie Rasmussen, where he would be such a great team player. He wouldn't necessarily be solely focused on the race wins, be consistent, get those second places, get those podiums, build the points for the teams, because that's where the championship and the money was. But now he can win some for his own pocket. Will we finally see him be a champion?
It's gonna be the first time I'm doing LAN event, so I have no clue what's gonna happen or anything. But of course it's different, and I just, when I'm coming here, I just told myself the first thing, I just want to enjoy it.
The last time I had a LAN experience was the F1 Esports 2022 Pro Exhibition, which was one of the most fun times of my life. I'm really looking forward to meeting everyone as well, because there's still a few I've got to meet.
Racing online can get very repetitive quite quickly, and it's all about, the tiniest little margins. You've got to be so perfect. So being in a live arena and a LAN environment makes it gives a bit more of an authentic feel to it.
Yeah, I've been in LAN in 18 and in 19 as well. I've been here for a long time already, but yeah, I missed that. Obviously get nervous because you are racing for a world championship. Everyone is watching, the team is backing you up, so you need to try, obviously, to forget about it, focus on your screen, and obviously you still feel the vibrations, which is not ideal, but it's the same for everyone ultimately, so you need to deal with it.
When we were online, you didn't see each other. You didn't really speak to each other apart from Twitter and maybe calling each other. But a crash happens on race. Someone gets blocked in qualifying. You're next to them. There's probably going to be a bit of shouting. There's definitely going to be a bit of tension. And those steward meetings are going to be, quite spicy.
So there you have it. It's going to get spicy. You heard it from two-time former champ Brendan Lee. Great to see some of the old faces. And there's a lot of rookies here. I mean, Steph, break it down. How many changes have there been to driver lineups this year?
Break it down. Well, let me tell you, there have been a record-breaking 19 different roster changes. We've got 8 rookies in the championship this season, which is a huge amount. And they're going to have less experience in the LAN environment that everyone is so hyped for. We've got very experienced drivers like, Freddie Rasmussen, Jarno Opmeer, Danny Bresnay, Brendan Lee himself, who are very used to this kind of environment. But it's going to be a little bit harder on the rookies to deal with the distractions that they've got going on around them.
With a LAN event, I mean, last year, I'm just going to cover it straight away now. Alfa Romeo, 3 changes, one of 3 teams to just gut the whole team and shake things up. Thomas Ronhaar is one of those drivers. Everyone's extra special to see, excited to see how he does in a LAN event, but the pace is there, finished 3rd in the championship. How do you think he's going to do in a LAN event?
I hope for him he has a really strong event. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders after the controversy that was spread on social media from the last season. I personally cannot wait to see him prove all those punters wrong, come out of the blocks fighting, and be right back at the top. But he hasn't been in a LAN event before, so are those added elements of pressure from viewers, distractions of people walking around, will they distract him? And maybe will we see a different Thomas Ronhaar this season?
Focusing on that rookie element, Thomas Ronhaar was fearless last year, absolutely fearless. And I'm sure a lot of rookies would have sort of taken Thomas Ronhaar as a bit of a kind of something to build up to. Go like, well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Would you reckon that, Steph?
A bit of an example, yeah. He had a fantastic season. Straight off the block, he was fighting in Bahrain last year. Very unfortunate to have that contact that put him right to the back, but unfortunately...
I wasn't going to mention it.
I mean, sorry to bring it up. But no, he really came back from that and had a fantastic season following that. So I think the rookies are going to be hoping to emanate a little bit of that and have a fantastic debut season, really put their mark on the series.
So basically, everybody is under pressure. The old guard, the new drivers, and maybe especially these rookies.
This year is like my first year with an opportunity to drive. You're doing your first ever race with a crowd and the LAN. It's a lot, it's quite scary.
It's obviously going to be a tough experience because we were rookies, it's our first race, but I think, like I said, when you come to LAN, it's like it brings everyone so much closer, so I think everyone has sort of got to get that bit of experience as well. So now I think looking forward to it mainly, and I think, we believe in ourselves and that we can get good results. I'm just sort of taking it as it comes, each race as it comes. It's going to be a lot of learning this season, so I'm just sort of setting myself sort of mini goals that I can try and go and achieve, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I was a development driver before, so I kind of was in the mix, but obviously you kind of I feel like you underestimate the amount of work you have to do behind the scenes. It's just so many hours perfecting each track. It's almost like months just perfecting 2 tracks, so yeah, it's a lot of hours. It's very difficult.
I was a development driver as well, so to switch from that role to a main driver, it's a big switch, but it's one that I wanted. And obviously working with Yoni as well, our teammate, has obviously got a lot of experience as well at the LAN events, so that's a big bonus. But yeah, I really enjoyed it so far, and yeah, real privilege to work with the team.
I feel like experience is one thing, but I feel like, as we saw last year with Ronhaar, his rookie season, fighting for a championship, so I think if you work hard, you can do anything.
So there you have it. We are almost gearing up. We're very close to getting that qualifying under raced. But just to bring you up to speed, what did you make of those guys talking about this whole event? Jed Norgroff and Tom Manley, both finalists in the Pro Exhibition. They've done the hard graft to get here, so now they want to just get into it, surely.
Well, I mean, they sound like they're confident, but coming into here, it's a different expectation. They've got, to come out fighting, but then you don't want to do what Thomas did at the start last time, where he was maybe a little bit too aggressive and maybe too much trying to prove himself that he had that collision, and it put him down at the back. You've got to be cautious. You've got to make sure you don't put the car into somebody else's and get damage and take those points away, but you've also got to be attacking so that the guys behind you don't swallow you up, basically.
Okay, right. just to recap and how quali is going to work, consists of 3 sessions, Q1, Q2, Q3, and where the 5 slowest cars are eliminated in Q1 and Q2. And then in Q3, as we know, you racing fans know this already, the remaining top 10 cars battle for pole position. Now, you mentioned it earlier on, Hayden. Why is quali so important in F1 esports?
It's so difficult to overtake around here. These guys, compared to real-life Formula One, there is very, very little separating them. And they're usually in trains together, and there is millimeters between the cars. So finding an overtake can be difficult. It's all going to be down to tyre strategy this season. So pole position or starting at the front, that's going to really benefit you. If you're out in Q1 or Q2, you're already massively on the back foot, and it's rare that we see someone come from the back to the front, but not impossible, as we have seen it on a few occasions in the past.
The classic Jarno Opmeer comes to mind with that. Right, Steph, we put Steph on the spot. No, we did it for every presenting person in this team, but I want to see your power rankings, the top 5 drivers, in your opinion. Talk us through these top 5 drivers. Who did you start with?
Let's have a chat. I mean, obviously, Lucas Blakely had to be in there, starting as the reigning champion. He's obviously got a lot to prove again this year. He wants to remain on top, so he's number 1 here on my power ranking. I think he's top at the minute. Freddie Rasmussen, I've put in 2nd place. Do you want to know why? Because in last 4 seasons, he has been in 2nd place. So it just seems like that's a place reserved for him now. We've also got Jarno Opmeer on there, also a 2-time world champion back in 2020 and 2021. Thomas Ronhart as well. I know this is a bit of a controversial one. A lot of people think he maybe isn't as fast as he appears. I think he's got a hell of a lot of pace, so I'm really excited to see what he's going to do this year.
Hella. Did you use the word hella?
Hella.
I've timed it at 8 minutes in. No.
And finally, I've got Barry Burman. We're bringing back #back Barry. He's made the switch from McLaren last year, where he was kind of the side piece to Lucas Blakely, should we say. And I'm hoping that he's going to make his stamp at Ferrari this year alongside Nicholas Longe. But yeah, that's what I've gone for my power rankings. I reckon we'll talk about your power rankings and other power rankings as we move throughout the show. But
yeah, I'll let people know. I went for a different strategy. I didn't read the brief fully. However, this side piece, as you refer to Barry Borman, a win in Spa last year, and now a real opportunity to show that consistency, and hopefully him and Nicholas Longe will do very well at Scuderia Ferrari. Hayden has just left the desk and he's chatting with a fan now. Hayden, what are you up to?
Yeah, the great thing about being back at a live event is we've got some incredible fans watching from behind. I'm joined now with Thomas. Thomas, we're back in a live event. What have you made so far of F1 sim racing?
Yeah, but this is so cool. This is the way it should be.
Who are you rooting for this event?
I'm a little bit Jarno fan, to be honest. Yeah.
And what is it about Jarno that catches your eye?
Well, he's a humble guy, and he really does the work.
He is an incredible racer, a 2-time world champion as well. Do you reckon he can make it the hat trick and get a 3rd this season?
Well, he seems to be strong this year. I mean, in the earlier events, yeah, I think he can do it.
Thank you very much, Thomas. From one Thomas to another, let's get into qualifying.
He's my favourite, Thomas. It was like interviewing Kimi Räikkönen there. I absolutely adored that man. It was short, sharp and simple. Listen, we are across all of the socials and the hashtag is F1 Esports, so keep up to date with that. But he makes a good point. Jarno, a 2-times world champion.
Humble guy.
He is a humble guy. He's great to chat to. All of the drivers are fantastic to chat to, Steph. Who's one driver that we haven't spoken about as we get into quali that you would like to highlight?
Oh, interesting. I would like to talk about Marcel Kiefer, just because he was all over the place. We didn't actually know where he was going to be, and he's decided to come at Williams. Not racing today, but I'm excited to see what he could potentially do. Very much looking forward to seeing the Haas drivers. They have an brand new rookie lineup, all 3 drivers, so it will be interesting to see how they fare in their very first qualifying in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship.
Okay, we are going to get to the Sakir circuit in just a moment to start Q1. Hayden, as a track, in my opinion, I think it's a great track. Lots of overtaking opportunities when we go racing. But for qualifying in, What's it like? Is it difficult, challenging? One of the most difficult ones?
Definitely challenging. There is one of the most tricky corners on the calendar, turn 9, turn 10 complex. You're riding downhill, you're turning whilst you're braking, you're loading those front tyres, and it's easy to lock up there and lose a valuable tenth of a second. As for the rest of the lap, there's some incredible corners and long straights, big braking zones where time can be won and lost, and we're going to see these guys be so close together, and that is what qualifying is all about.
Yeah, 3 DRS zones, close qualifying. Has always happened here. Last year, just to let people know, a little bit of history buff here, Lucas Blakely was on pole and went on to win the race. Is there going to be a repeat of that? Well, we are moments away from finding out. And the year before that, he wasn't on pole, Lucas Blakely. Nicholas Longue was in 2021, but Lucas went on to win it. So it still gives hope for all of the drivers. Look, if you don't qualify in P1, there's still an opportunity to win the race.
Absolutely, but Lucas Blakely, as you said, mentioned, the last 2 races he has won. He is going to be gunning for a 3rd victory in a row at this Sakir International Circuit. As you can see, qualifying is getting underway. Just 18 minutes for these drivers to set times during Q1. Many drivers on their out lap trying to get a lap in immediately, and some drivers still in the pits. What are we looking for in this qualifying session, Hayden?
Well, at the moment, they are just testing all of their equipment. They go out on track on a set of intermediate tyres. As you can see, it's Bahrain, it's a desert. It's very unlikely that there is going to be wet weather, and Patrick Sipos invalidating on this little warm-up lap. He'll be hoping not to do that for the real-life thing. But basically what they are doing right now is, as I say, testing their equipment, making sure the wheel's working as it should be, the pedals, all of that stuff, and just getting their eye in slightly. But this is going to put you, if you do a push lap on these intermediate tyres, it's going to take you kind of away from the usual typical braking zones that you're going to be doing. So as you can see, Patrick Sipos back into the pits. There's other drivers on these intermediate tyres just to get a feel for what the track is right now.
Okay, it's a brand new season. There's been a reset for these drivers. I guess this is probably the most nervous they're going to be throughout the whole season, until they come down to a moment where they could be world champion, because you've got to set the tone right for the whole championship, haven't you? Like, if you go out in Q1, your head could slip.
I mean, you're already on the back foot, especially as we go into the race. If you're out of the points for the race, you are 25 points behind, maybe even more, depending on the pole position fastest lap points, the person who is currently leading the championship. So you have to get off strongly. And as for these first laps, they're going to be wanting to put in a banker, but those who are usually at the top, they can maybe set that lap time that's going to put themselves right at the top of the standings right now, that they can take it easy, maybe retire from the session early, get themselves ready for Q2 and have a fresh set of tyres. You get 5 tyres total in a qualifying session, 5 softs, and they're going to be using 4. They get an extra 1 if they make it into Q3.
I want to give a little bit behind the scenes while you wait for some lap times to be set here. We're currently on board with Fab Donoso. Now, what a driver Fab Donoso is. You have to just go way back to 2018. We was with Force India, then he moved on to Renault. He had a year off, then Alpine, then Ferrari last year. But that form, I think, has not quite been there for Fab since the inaugural season, 2017. But this is an opportunity with a very experienced driver next to him, Simon Weigand. This could be the year where these guys really kick on.
I mean, it's a strong pairing between the 2 Aston Martins. Fabrizio Donoso has been there and he's done it. It's second, the first time we ever held this competition. Obviously, the famous Brendan Lee finger wag when we were racing in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, been around a few teams at the moment, but we're back in a LAN event. Maybe this is going to get the best out of him. And Simon Weigand, he's always been a strong point scorer, but has never usually found himself regularly in that top 5. Are we going to see a different Simon this season?
I would say his tweets are always in my, or his posts on X are my favorite. They're always in my top 5, and long may he continue to tweet his opinions. Okay, Steph, which drivers have you spoken to? I've got one in mind who is uber confident, and I love that about him, and that's Nicholas Longue. Is there any other drivers you've spoken to that just exude a confidence?
Do you know what? Quite a lot of the drivers are feeling very confident. And do you know what? I love that because it shows that they're so ready to get into it. As you can see, there's Nico right there. He says that he's adapted really well to this LAN environment. He's adapted to the new equipment very well. And Hayden alluded to it earlier, that everybody has the same equipment. And what's really interesting is you're taken out of the comfort of your own home. You're taken out of that comfort of the equipment that you know, that you always practice on. And it really levels the playing field out. But yeah, when I was speaking to Nico, he says that he's adapted really well. Danny Beresne says so as well. Jarno, Mercedes, as a whole, just feel very confident this year, as you can see. There's also Ferrari. They feel very confident. I'm loving the confidence exuberating from all 10 teams here. It seems like everybody's just come raring to go.
Yeah, they look so ready to go and set a time on a lap, don't they? Two drivers just sat there, pretty much folded their arms. They're just waiting. Now, why is the waiting happening, Hayden? Are they waiting for the evolution of the track to set a time, or is it maybe something else?
You know it. You said it exactly. Yes, they're waiting for the evolution of the track to fasten up. As the session goes on, the track will get quicker and quicker and quicker. So it's best to set your lap time right at the end of the session. And right now, they're just waiting for the timer to come down. Looking at the timing, it's 12 minutes left on the clock. They're probably waiting for around 9 minutes 30 to get back out on track and then go again with about 3 minutes left to go. So right now, we're just a little bit chilled, they're just relaxed, but this is going to be able to pick the difference between the drivers, because some of them are going to be relaxed, they're going to be chilled, some of them could be looking a little bit nervous.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Max Verstappen over in Abu Dhabi, just trying to get out of the pits to just get some practice in. Drivers will get more tense the less time they have to set an incredible or their fastest possible lap. Let's look at some of the mascots. Now, I don't know if the live audience that are here have noticed any of the drivers that have brought a mascot along. Hopefully that will be helping the driver. But over there, a Toy Story theme there for Nicholas Longa. We missed back in the day with David Tanitza for Ferrari, his first season, and he had a sort of T-Rex with him, and he was famously coined the Tonzilla. It's a bit of a shock for me that a former world champion is not competing, and maybe that will harm Ferrari's chances this year.
Well, it's the first time we've seen a champion of F1 sim racing not be on the grid. We've got Brendan Lee over there, we've got Jarno Watmir, we've got Lucas Blakely, so we've got our champions behind us, and obviously loving Nicholas Longa's mascots over there. Is he going to be lassoing himself to pole position?
Oh, hello.
Whip it, pull it in. We're going to have to wait and see.
Look out. Okay, in terms of the combined driver lineups, we haven't spoken much about McLaren Shadow, who are right over to my right-hand side, right at the front over there. Lucas Blakely, Wilson Hughes, no longer having Barry Boromond as the number 2 driver to Lucas Blakely, who's having an incredible season, and that's taking nothing away from Barry. I feel like maybe he's left to go and show what he's capable of. But what will that mean for Lucas and this partnership and the weaknesses and strengths of it?
Well, I think it's very clear that in this team specifically, you have very much a team leader and a follower. And Wilson has been very integrated in the McLaren family with them last year, but not getting a chance to drive for them. So he's definitely well-versed in what goes on down at McLaren Shadow. I think he's a great option to step into that car. And I hope he does really well. I'm excited to see what he's capable of. But yeah, you've got the experience and, you know, the capacity of Lucas Blakely alongside you, the master, yeah.
The master and the sensei and then the student there. But just to let people know, Wilson Hughes was very much part of that McLaren Shadow Team Constructors Championship that they got. So we're on board with Freddie Rasmussen. The man has won more points than any other driver and yet still hasn't taken a world title. This could be the year. What do you make of Freddie Rasmussen? Why has it not necessarily happened for him?
He is one of the most consistent drivers on the grid. You look at the stats of every driver, and for most of them, he comes out on top. The one that he's lacking is obviously the World Championship. And he is such a respectful driver. He's always going wheel to wheel, leaving room for others. And that was kind of a little bit of his undoing. My mind goes to Austria when he was battling there, getting shoved off the track by other drivers and in a legal way. And he just isn't one of those drivers to get the elbows out. Maybe because he's always been fighting for the constructors and fighting for consistency to at least stay in the mix. And that's, I think, where Freddie's strengths come from, to stay consistent, to pick your battles and see which ones you're going to potentially lose out on, as we're going to ride on board with a lap from Freddie Rasmussen. Our first flying lap here at Bahrain as we head down the start-finish straight, get the DRS open and cross the start-finish line. It's a bit of an age down into turn 1. You can take a pause, think about what you're potentially having for dinner later. And then it's hard on the brakes at the 100-meter board. Clip the apex on the inside, get the car over to the right to maximize the straight line through turn 2. Turn 3, slight corner, but they count it, and then DRS is back open and you get the car over to the left. Use the runoff area, keep that wheel on the white line, don't cross it because you will invalidate. Down to third gear at the apex of turn 4. Use all of the track on the left-hand side as well to gain you those thousandths of a second now through the windy bits. The right, then the left. Use the curb, but not too much, as it will unsettle the car. Back on the brakes, we go downhill through the right-hander of the hairpin. Then you rise back up the hill and go to that really tricky turn 9, turn 10. Can Freddie nail it and not lock up into this corner? And he does. Gets the back end, a little bit of a drift out there to really get that extra rotation through the corner to get yourself back on the power and have as much straight line speed to settle the car as we watch those hands on the steering wheel. And just look how calm he is. It's such a stressful situation in qualifying. What you can't see right now is his heart rate is probably at around 150 beats per minute. But you can't really tell on his face. We're going back on board with Freddie Rasmussen through the last sector now. 2 long straights separate him from ending his first lap, heading down into the last corner. Again, using all the track on the left, hard on the brakes, through the last corner. It's a kind of double corner here, so you can really maximize back over on the left, use both tires on either side of the curb, cross the line, and a lap time from Freddie Rasmussen is a 27.6, which is looking good, because I'm thinking the cutoff time for Q1 is probably going to be about a 27.7. So he's kind of on the cusp at the moment, but he could be safe with that lap, which is vital for him if he wants to save tires, Steph.
Yeah, brilliant lap there from Freddie, showing us exactly how it is done. And Hayden, great job mentioning that turn 9, turn 10 area. It is a very difficult one for drivers. We could see quite a few issues in qualifying, quite a few drivers potentially ruining sets of tyres with the lockups there. As you can see, that is a Ferrari heading down the main straight, but we've got the times rolling on in. Still no one better than Freddie Rasmussen. He's done a massive first lap to put himself at the top of the timings. As you can see, the timings are rolling in now afterwards. See all of the drivers getting comfortable and getting settled into this track.
Yeah, looking very good, Tom, aren't they?
They're very good indeed. Now, I noticed in practice while the guys were getting ready for this incredible Q1. Do you know what? I'm actually a little bit emotional. When you came to me then, I was like, I'm just loving it. I'm sort of in the moment watching Q1 again. I love every season and just seeing these times roll in. Tom Manley is going to have to improve on that 28.1. What would a driver have to do at this sort of stage? What would be the thought process going through that rookie for the AlphaTauri?
Well, now there's nothing to lose. You just got to go for it on the lap. The lap time is currently on the back foot. I'd say if you're in the 28s, you definitely need to go out again and stick in another lap. So you've just got to go full Hail Mary, go for it in Q1, get yourself into Q2, and that's going to be the difference between the top drivers and the drivers who are maybe coming into it or at the back of the grid. They're going to be using maybe potentially 2 sets of tyres here to get themselves into Q2, whereas those faster drivers can just use the one, and then they're ready and they're prepared for Q2.
So a time like that, so you probably would reckon Frederick, I'll give his full name, Frederick Rasmussen, he'd be sort of happy to just sit in the pit now, relax. He probably set a time that's going to get him through to Q2, whereas other drivers are thinking, right, let's send it, let's get new fresh tyres on, let's get out again and make sure we get into Q2.
Well, yeah, as you can see, Freddie was just in the pits there. If he's going to do another lap, he wants to be out around about 2 minutes 30 with that timing left on the clock there. But just to bring up Alfie Butcher, because Freddie Rasmussen did do a very quick time, but there you can see the Haas driver of Alfie Butcher, just 16 years old, at the top of the timings right now. What a fantastic opening lap there from him.
A Haas driver at the top, a rookie as well. Where have we seen this before? Alfie Butcher, take a bow.
I mean, seeing it written down is déjà vu, but it is déjà vu. We're loving this from the Haas driver. And Alfie Butcher, I met him on the flight over, Hayden, and don't look surprised, you were sat next to me. Across the aisle, we had Josh Edo on that flight, John Evans, and Alfie Butcher traveling across because he's 16 with his dad. And I think I have to say, he's one of the calmest, or definitely shows that calm, which you definitely need as a sim racing driver. His dad was more nervous than Alfie was, but I tell you what, if you want a bit of confidence, he's got it right there.
Yeah, I mean, cool, calm, collected. Look at that right at the top. And I think Alfie Butcher is going to be one of those drivers that can now just definitely chill. You've used that set of tyres, you don't need to use another one, you're going to save those, and that's really going to benefit you if you can get into Q3. Sadly, though, if you don't make it to Q3, it kind of seems a little bit of a waste because this is all reset before we get into the race, and the tyres are as well. So the tyres will not cross over into the race session, which means you don't have to worry about the wear that you put on those tyres in this qualifying session, carrying over into the race, so you can just go on every single set of tyres and go as fast as you can.
It is a bit sort of nerve-wracking, I'm sure, if you're the team manager, when you've got 3 rookies in your lineup. Next to Alfie Butcher over there is Ulaş Özdildirim from Turkey. Top bloke, he has experience in LAN events. Alfie Butcher, the top of the PC Challenger series. So they've got the speed, but if you want a bit of experience, surely, Steph, when you're going into a competition, right?
Well, I don't know. Haas always opt for the newer route. New is always better, maybe they think. But no, there you can see Alfie Butcher, super calm and collected there. I don't know what I was doing at 16, but it was not this driving on the giant stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people watching at home. So he's doing a fantastic job to stay cool, calm, and collected. Haas, I think, are risk takers, and I like that because what do you have to lose?
Yeah, nothing.
There
Just
you go.
embarrassment in front of live people. Alpine, we've not mentioned them. A brand new rookie is Ruben Pedreño, the Spanish driver. And you've got the wise old head, and I say this of Patrick Schipos, who's had 16 starts. How are they faring at the moment, Hayden, as we look behind us on the giant screen?
Well, Pedreño is actually really doing a good job as 0.678, just behind Freddie Rasmussen. Obviously, you only got Alfie Butcher ahead of him. So things are looking good at the moment for them. Patrick Schipos definitely going to have to go again, down in 15th, just outside the drop zone, but with lap times obviously getting quicker due to the evolution, he's going to need to be, getting himself set up. And as you can see right now, warming up those tyres, getting them to around the 95-degree plus range to get them up to optimal temperature and then go absolutely flying on this last lap. Patrick Schipos is going to be the first one to lead us round the Sakir circuit. Can he make it into Q2, or will he be one of the first 5 to be knocked out? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, riding on board with him right now as he's heading down the main straight, braking into turn 1. Hard braking zone there, not too many of those on this circuit here as he's heading down to the second DRS zone, 3 in total on this circuit, and into turn 4, moving all the way over to the left-hand side so that you can kiss the apex on the way out. Foot straight back on the throttle, left, right, and left again before he's preparing himself for the very tricky hairpin of turn 8, all the way in down to 3rd gear there as he gets all the way back up to speed before the trickiest set of corners on the calendar. Will he be able to sort it out going into turn 10 there? And he manages it very, very well so far. Good lap there from Schipos.
Yeah, but he just missed the apex before we cut away, and that lost of about 1/10 of a second, which is going to put the pressure on because now he's got a lot more lap time to find. But 1/10 of a second will put him up to about 11th place where Jarno Opmeer and Danny Berezne are at the moment. So he's going to have to be on it. 1/10 of a second. That is what he is up on right now, and he is going to be right on the cusp of whether he can get through or not. But he's the first one to come across the line, which is probably the worst place you want to be because you've set your lap time and then you're just waiting and watching your name potentially fall down like you're playing snakes and ladders, but you keep on getting snakes there. Patrick Schipos across the line, and it is enough for P7 at the moment. A great lap time. Watching on board now with Barry Boremund. He's 2 tenths up on his lap time at the moment and is in 9th position as he comes around the final corner. He's going to remain about 2 tenths up on his lap time. He will cross the line and he will improve and put himself up to P5, and surely that is safe.
Can we please just take a moment to talk about Lucas Blakely, the reigning champion, who's still yet to set a time? What on earth is going on here, guys?
He's leaving it to the last minute. He's coming around the final corner now. He's heading down to the line. We've got the Mercedes who's just crossed the line. Danny Berezne's gone up safe. Where's Lucas Blakely? And he is P1, saving the best till last, and he puts himself right at the top. But we've still got some drivers down at the bottom here who is currently vulnerable right now. We've got Ulaş, we've got Simon Weigang down in the drop zone at the moment. Wilson Hughes, unfortunately, is out on board with Ulaş at the moment across the line. He goes P15, he's safe at the moment, but have we still got drivers to cross the line? There is still a couple of them. Can they get through? Alvaro Caraton now crosses the line, goes P8, he's safe. Simon Weigang, the last one, as per usual. We're going to have to wait and see for it to pop up. Did he make it? And sadly, he did not.
Oh, what a shame for those 5 drivers exiting in Q1. They gave it their absolute all. And as you can see here, those are the drivers who are going to be progressing into Q2. They're going to have to find even more lap time. Hayden, I think you should go have a little wander, see who you can find that's been eliminated, and we'll have a little chat with them. But for those 5 drivers, it's going to be absolutely heartbreaking, Tom, isn't it? They wanted to get a great start, and gosh, the timings are it's just so close between all of them.
And I tell you what, it was sort of the kiss of death. I found this last season on the qualifying show when Matt Gallagher, who is going to be a part of the production, he will be back later on for the main race around Bahrain. I always had the kiss of death. I'd start talking about a particular team, and as I can look here on my notes, Fab Donoso and Simon Weigang out in Q1. I'd hate to be the person that had to interview them right now, but Hayden Gullis is the man, so I can relax.
Should I be scared? Look at Simon Weigang. Look at this man. Unfortunately, not how you would have wanted qualifying to go. You're on the back foot going into the race later on. What do you need to do in the race to put yourself into the points?
I mean, it's the first LAN event, so just going to keep it clean and then see what happens. Obviously, it's not ideal. We made a mistake in the middle sector. Yeah, obviously last is bad, but nothing is over until the lady sings.
The positive note that we can take from this is it's only up from here, surely. So you're starting at the back of the grid. You're going to have fun out there, make some overtakes, and just see what can come of it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Simon. I wish you the best of luck in the race later on. And Tom, back over to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not easy in a fresh season, but he seemed to take that well, Simon Weigang. Like, look, it is what it is, and he's just going to have to do what he can during the race. But not the start Aston Martin want. In terms of Wilson Hughes being the second driver at McLaren Shadow, not the best start for him either today.
No, but as we said, he is a new driver just getting up to speed with things. As you can see, finally we have confirmation of the drivers that have been eliminated in P20, Simon Weigang, P19, Wilson Hughes of McLaren, P18, the other Aston Martin driver of Fabrizio Donoso. In 17th, we have one of the Haas drivers, one of their rookies, Ulash Uzildrim, and in 16th, another rookie, Ismail Fassi from Williams. But look at that margin, just 5 thousandths of a second that kept him from getting into Q2. That is the margins that we are dealing with in F1 sim racing. It's just so close.
Reminds me of Alvaro Carton, his teammate in Williams, who missed out on Q3 last season. I forget which race, but by 1/1000th of a second. It's an absolute joke. These drivers are so close and so incredible. Now, interesting question, and I know you might not have an answer necessarily for this, Hayden, but Marcel Keither, you've got a rookie driver. He's very fast. Alvaro Carton and Ismael, both Spanish. They like that communication. They like that teamwork. But Marcel Keither, an incredibly experienced driver, he did finish 16th in quali in Bahrain last year, but why not have a bit more experience, go experience to experienced driver?
Well, I suppose the experience is throughout the team. Marcel Keither, whilst maybe not racing today at the moment, I'm sure he is behind the scenes helping his teammates, giving them advice. He's been here before in a LAN event. He's such a confident guy. So being in these environments, he absolutely loves it. So he can help train them to be like, look, just relax, take in that pressure and go and perform.
Surprisingly, last year, and I won't keep banging on about last year, it's all about 2023 now, guys, but Nicolas Longuet qualified 18th last year. Brendan Lee was out of Q3 as well. Josh Edo was out of Q3. But the season improved. So I suppose, like the evolution of a track, Steph, their performances can improve. But those drivers like Lucas, who can just deliver when it matters, that's what drivers are striving for.
Definitely. And the fact that he was able to hook that lap up on the very last lap, on the very last chance that he was given, he left it the whole session and was able to wait for it and just managed to perform, as we can right on board with Alvaro Carreton, the other Williams driver, the one not eliminated, as he is on his first flying lap for the Q2 session, and he's going to be heading down to the finish straight. What's it good enough for? It's a 1:27.9. He's going to need a little bit quicker to be comfortable in getting through to Q3, I reckon.
Yeah, that'll be on a used set of tyres, the tyres that he used in Q1. He's just getting his eye in this qualifying session. But you want that banker lap as well, because if you have a mistake on your flying lap right at the end of the session, you have this one to at least have a lap time on the board and just hope and pray that it's going to be enough to put yourself. But, you know, a 1:27.9, it's kind of is maybe not the safest. Thomas Ronhaar with a great lap there, 27.6. Most likely again on a used set of tyres. I'd be very surprised if right now anyone isn't doing that. But the cut-off time could be around the 127.4s, we reckon. So he potentially is going to have to go again. We'll wait and see. Riding on board now with Thomas Ronhaar on his in-lap. And as you can see, the concentration on his face. Brendan Lee, chilled as you like. Will he give us a wave, Brendan Lee? Will he give us a wave? No, of course not. He is calm and comfortable and chatting with his engineers that we can now see behind them. It's so great to be in this live event that you've just got the team managers, the head coaches, they're just there behind them, and then you can see the guys chatting with them throughout.
Would the team managers, engineers, say for Aston Martin, start discussing tactics for the race, or do you wait until after Q3 to work out a strategy, or they've got that time now to start working on it?
I think for the team managers and the head coaches, they're going to be working on that. I don't think this is really a conversation to include with the drivers right now. They're going to be on the back foot of just being knocked out. So let them calm down, let them get back into a right frame of mind to be able to discuss these sort of opinions in the back room that they go to and discuss their strategy furthermore. But yeah, those guys behind the scenes, they're going to be working that out and seeing what is the best way to get their drivers back up to the front. And maybe they're going to go all in later with a very, very aggressive strategy.
And you know what's really interesting? I think this year we're going to start to see some very interesting strategies play out within the races. You know, a lot of the time there is an optimal strategy and everyone takes that, but here we've got excessive tyre wear in F1 23. So it's going to be very interesting to see which way drivers and their teams opt to go, whether they're going to go for an undercut strategy, whether they're going to go for an overcut. What we know, Hayden, is that it's better to choose one of those than just stay in the middle and kind of have a wishy-washy strategy.
Yeah, you can't sit on the fence here on F1 sim racing. You have to decide something. If you go in the middle, you're going to be overtaken by the guys who have done the undercut, and then you're stuck behind them, and then the guys who have done the overcut are going to be quicker than you, overtaking you. So you're just kind of in no man's land, and that's not where you want to be. Riding on board now with Freddie Rasmussen, as you can see, very calm as he gets himself ready. He's on the brake whilst on the throttle, and what this is doing is this is allowing the tyres to build up temperature without using too much of the tyre wear. You also would be able to build up the battery if you had used that. So say he went for a flying lap and had enough fuel for a second one, which is very unlikely here in F1 sim racing, but he would be able to build up that battery by holding the brake and the throttle at the same time to build up the temps. So as you can see, they're flying up right now to the 95 degree area at the moment, and then that is going to be the optimal position for those temperatures for him to set the lap that could potentially get himself into Q3.
His last win, Freddie Rasmussen, last season came in Abu Dhabi 2022. And his last pole position was in Monza last season. I mean, as I mentioned before, Freddie Rasmussen, he's kind of the GOAT in terms of points. Wins in the calendar season, he's phenomenal. I'm hoping, and I'm sure we'll have it for everybody to see at some point, but he was asked the question, why have you not won? What is it down to? And he said luck. And that's kind of it seems odd as an answer that it's just luck, but what do you think he means by that?
I mean, I suppose you make your own luck here. You can be unlucky in a sense of a little bit of contact here and a little bit of contact there, but you are the one who places that car in that position. I don't think it came down to luck. What happened in Mexico last season, that certainly wasn't luck. That was maybe a bit of driver frustration coming in, and that fundamentally could have been where Freddie did lose the championship last season. But, you know, most of the time, he's a cool, calm head. Luck might have played into it in certain circumstances, maybe with wet weather and stuff like that, as we fly through this left-hander at the moment on board with Freddie Rasmussen. 6-7 minutes left of this qualifying session left to go, Steph. And who is your pick right now?
Oh, who is my pick for, well, to go through? There's going to be some pretty quick drivers on there. I definitely will be putting Freddie Rasmussen through as he's coming down to finish the lap that he is currently on. That big straight, the only straight in Bahrain that doesn't actually have a DRS zone, but here we are on the main straight, now in a DRS zone, and there we go, a close-up of Freddie, but what is that lap time? It's a 1:27.378, which is a great lap time. I think that's a pretty safe one for Freddie. Once he set his lap time, last lap actually, he went straight back into the pits as we're riding on board with the AlphaTauri now, who is going to be starting a lap or completing a lap there, Hayden?
Yeah, he just completed a lap here, 1:27.5, put himself into P4 there for Jed Norgrove. Looking good at the moment, but kind of on that cusp, so we'll have to go again when we get down to the last few moments of qualifying. Pedreno there put himself into second place. Now it's Josh Ido. The Red Bulls are looking strong. Josh Ido actually had a really strong season in 2022, but over at AlphaTauri, there was a lot of rotation between him, Joni Tormola, and Sebastian Jobs, who was never really able to gather that momentum throughout the season. Now he's got a full-time drive alongside Freddie Rasmussen, and this could be the season that we really get to see the best out of Josh Ido. Right now, put himself in a good position. And we're riding on board there with Alvaro Carreton, who just invalidated his lap at the last corner. The worst place really to do it, because at least if you do it at turn one, you're like, okay, you know, let's just get myself back into the pits. But he was on a good lap there, and unfortunately threw it all away.
Josh Ido, 3 podiums last season, one of which was at Abu Dhabi. He had the podium, but ended up finishing, he had a pole position. He ended up finishing in 3rd place. So obviously, as I mentioned before, Freddie Rasmussen winning that. So all these drivers have got that capability of getting those pole positions, but it doesn't necessarily equate to wins. Lucas Blakely hasn't finished on pole as many times as he's won. So sometimes that racecraft, so it's trying to relax the drivers and go, look, it didn't go to plan in that quali. I'm not P1, but that doesn't mean I'm out of the chance and the fighting race to win it.
Yeah, if you're in that top 10, you're still in a really good position, obviously, to score points, and a little bit of strategy coming in. As we say, there's potentially lots of different strategies that you can play with around here. So there is a chance to get yourself back up at that front. Overtaking can be difficult because these drivers are so good. You've got to be patient. You've got to watch the driver ahead. You've got to be seeing where they're maybe weakest around the circuit, and then you've got to pounce on that opportunity. So we're watching Jarno Opmeer. I believe this is an in-lap at the moment because he's going to get himself back in, get himself ready again. It's a 1:27.4, so he's kind of on that cusp at the moment. But interestingly to note, one of the guys who was at the top in the last session, Alfie Butcher, staying in the pits right now. Now, he's either doing one or two things. He's either waiting for the track evolution to build up, go back out on those used set of tyres to set his lap time at the quickest potential time of the track to put himself through on a used set of tyres, or he's going for a new set, doing what Lucas Blakely did and trying to one-up him.
I hope he's doing what Lucas Blakely did. That was great to see. I love the confidence.
Mercedes-AMG Petronas Esports team, Jarno Opmeer, Danny Beresny. Have a listen to this. Combined amount of points for both of these drivers is over 1,000. That is a huge amount of confidence and experience that they can lean on if needed. And this combination, it hasn't been mentioned so far, Danny Beresny and Jarno Opmeer, formerly teammates of Alfa Romeo, and that's where Jarno Opmeer won his first title at Alfa Romeo. So that's probably why they've brought him back in, maybe, Danny Beresny, to work with Jarno and get back up to that title, a world champion sort of form.
Yeah, they work really well together, and Danny, as I said, loves these conditions. He actually just blew me a kiss over there, so you can see that he's calm, he's confident, and he's loving these scenarios. But both strong drivers, both maybe now one of the old boys. I mean, Jarno Opmeer's been here for a while as well. So
what are you suggesting? He's out? He's on the way out?
No, but there is potential of the rookies to come in, and like we saw with Thomas Ronhaar, put themselves at the top, and that's what we did see last season. Those guys who had been here for so long established themselves, a little bit frustrated with the new kid on the block coming in and stealing their ground, and potentially Alfie Butcher is looking strong. That could be him this season.
Whoa, there's Jake Benham also in that team lineup waiting on the side. He is very young, an incredibly fast driver at the Pro Exhibition last season. But the young talent coming through, there's probably young talent watching right now, Steph, and so many drivers they've got a target on their back because you know how good these drivers are that are coming through that could take their seat.
Oh, absolutely. There's always a target on your back in esports. I think it's so interesting because these drivers are so quick and the margins are so slim, is that someone can always find a couple of thousandth and potentially be faster than you. As you can see, most of our drivers heading out on out laps, ready for their final laps of the session. Even Alfie Butcher down at the bottom in P15. No time set yet, but he'll be out on that lap, warming up the tyres, getting them up to temperature so that you can go full speed ahead on this final lap. 5 drivers will be eliminated at the end of this session. Which 5 will they be, Hayden?
Well, if you look at the track map, one thing interesting to note, Thomas Ronhard going out with 1 minute 47 to go. As you can see, the lap time around here is about 1 minute 27, but the out lap is going to be slower than a flying lap. You're not using any of your hot lap ERS. You're not really pushing that much, and you need to warm up the tires. So is Thomas Ronhard going to be on the back foot now without being able to warm up the tires? We're going to have to wait and see, but let's get it rolling for one last time here in Q2. Who are going to be the top 10 to make it into the shootout for pole position? We've got an Alpine who's already crossed the line, and now Barry Borman starts his lap. He's going to head down to the first corner now. DRS open, hot lap on, and hard on the brakes as we head down to the first turn. Nice touch of the apex on the inside as we get a lovely close-up of Barry. Concentration on his face. The driver's coming across the line. There's a big train at the back. If you look at the track map there's a lot of cars getting themselves slowed down, and that could be what maybe catches out Thomas Ronhard. He might not make it to the line because there's a lot of traffic down there, but this will not affect Barry Borman as he heads through the corners. Watching on board now with Alfie Butcher. He's going to come across the line. One of the only drivers in this session not to set a lap time yet. He's down in 15th, but looks strong in Q1, so it will be a shock if he makes it, if he gets knocked out of this qualifying session, Steph.
Yeah, a very big shock if he does, as you can see him coming onto that long straight there. DRS will be open, moving up through the gears, and qualifying is finished. So everyone on a lap right now will be finishing that lap, and that will be the end. Alfie Butcher going wide there, but not too wide, else the lap will be invalidated. Left, right, left. Fantastic moves, really hugging the corners there, sticking to the white line, hugging the apex of that turn 8 hairpin, and going down now to turn 8. We're still riding on board with him. His fantastic job really gets the apex there at turn 10. Excellent job on that tricky corner, heading down the final DRS straight of this lap. Braking hard into the left-hander, down into 5th gear, but back on the throttle as he's heading back up these quick set of corners. Uphill, all the way around. Double right-hander here as we're heading down onto the final straight. No DRS here, up through the gears. 6, 7, 8, almost there. And then we'll be heading onto the sharp braking zone, the final corner. Onto the last lap, we've got Danny Berezne setting the fastest lap there. Onto the straight. What's it going to be for Alfie Butcher? Is it going to be good enough to get him up? It's going to be good enough for P2. It's an excellent lap. Fantastic job from the Haas driver, from the rookie there. As you can see, we've got drivers crossing the line left, right, and centre. Freddie Rasmussen up there. Danny Berezne, though, with the quickest lap in that session. And those are the 5 drivers we're losing. Barry Borman, Patrick Shipos, Josh Idowu, Tom Manley, and Brendan Lee. What a qualifying session. What a job from Alfie Butcher there in the Haas, Tom. Did you expect that performance?
Do you know what? No, but I also, because we've got nothing to base it on, we knew he was quick coming into this tournament. We saw him in Q1, how good he was. And what I love about him and the confidence of him, he waited so long into Q2.
He did a Blakely.
He did the Blakely, and that is exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say, I feel like there's a good competitive edge. Look, Lucas, you're a world champion. What you can do, I reckon I can do it, and he's proved that. There's nothing worse than having egg on your face where you try something, you're not ready for it. But Alfie Butcher, watch out for this name, and hopefully he'll do well into Q3. Let's find out where Hayden is right now.
I am sat down, unfortunately, by the Alfa Romeo team. I don't think any driver wants to see me after a qualifying session because they know what it means. Brendan, it's not how you wanted the season to start, but things to build upon still?
Well, I mean, to be honest, us Alfa Romeo, we did a really good pre-season. The pace was looking fantastic, the consistency and all the elements were coming together for what would be a really strong result. Unfortunately, this is our first time back to LAN in multiple years, and some hiccups can happen in the equipment, and we need to look into these elements to fix them for Event 2. But at the moment, the lap I did was, to be honest, with the laps I've done in my career, up there with one of the best, but when you don't have the, let's say, foundation to do a better lap, it's impossible.
Well, I wish you all the best in the race, and hopefully you can help your teammate to maybe secure a pole position for the race. We're heading now into Q3, so let's get into it.
Thank you very much, Hayden. I don't know if people have told you you're allowed to go putting your hand on the back of the seats, the driver's seat. I'm just saying they might get a little bit on edge about that. But yeah, Brendan Lee out in Q2, not going to Q3. His last pole position came in USA 2022, and his last win back in COTA 2018. The talent is there, but we haven't necessarily seen huge wins again like he used to have, Steph.
No, and it's disappointing because he's massive caliber of driver, and he's clearly got a lot of pace. Unfortunately, we didn't see it there, but do you know what? The race is where the points come. Well, apart from 1 point pole position, but that's new. But yeah, the race is where the points are. Whether they'll come up with an alternate strategy, yet to be determined, but I say don't count him out just yet.
No, when he was talking about foundation there, the foundations are kind of hopefully ready for the next event. What's he sort of alluding to, Hayden, there? Break it down for everybody.
Well, it's difficult for that driver mindset now. As I said, it's so difficult to overtake and work your way back up through the field. So he will take away what the positives were here, the negatives, and maybe the things that he can work on going into the next event. I don't think he should count himself out, though. We know how strong Brendan Lee is. He's one of the great drivers in this field. So he needs to go into this race later on and build upon that. Maybe if there's any sort of problems that he's had, because this is a live setup. They're going to be jumping into these rigs for the first time over the last couple of days to get themselves comfortable and set up. And if there's anything that he's finding, okay, actually, that feels not quite right for me, he now needs to change that going into the race to maybe get himself as comfortable as possible and get the best out of himself.
Yeah, he speaks so eloquently, and he's like a particular bit of furniture around the world of F1 sim racing. Great to have him on board. Let's keep fingers crossed for him in the race. However, Barry Burmond, new to Scuderia Ferrari. One of the issues of Ferrari is they've not had two consistent drivers. Not the way you want to start here by going out in Q2.
No, and I put him in my power rankings. But no, it's going to be disappointing from him. Obviously, everybody wants to get through to Q3. Everybody wants to be in that fight for pole position. But another driver who I know we all rank quite highly, especially you, Hayden, I know he's in your power rankings, which we haven't discussed yet, is Josh Ito.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. He unfortunately has missed out on the cutoff. He's not into Q3. But I think it just shows how strong and how close this whole entire grid is, that we are seeing some of the big names knocked out in Q1, some of the big names knocked out in Q2. Obviously, Barry, Josh, those that you would expect maybe to get into Q3. But we've got some incredible drivers in that Q3 as well. So it's just so close between all of them, and it just makes it so much worse that you miss out by such a small amount of time as well.
Yeah, 15 pole positions for his teammate, Freddie Rasmussen. 12 wins. Fascinating stats there. 832 points Freddie Rasmussen has accrued over his career in F1 sim racing. McLaren Shadow, Lucas Blakely's through. An opportunity for another repeat then from pole to victory.
Well, it's going to be what he wants to do. He wants to come out of the blocks fighting for a season. Obviously, he's got the biggest target on his back. He is the reigning world champion. Everybody's going to want to beat him, but he's also, slightly going to have a point to prove to show that it wasn't just a flash in the pan. We're back in a live event. Can he do it there as well? So he's going to be showing that, and he's doing exactly that at the moment. He's put himself at the top, both Q1 and Q2. He's been up there. Can he do it for the one where it matters, though, and get that extra point?
Yeah, it seems when I just mentioned Red Bull there, Josh Ito, you just need two consistent drivers to help a Team Constructors Championship. And Freddie Rasmussen had that in the past with Marcel Kiefer. Marcel Kiefer wasn't on form last year. And then Josh Ito needed to step up in the same way that Mercedes have got the same situation. They've got Danny Berezny, someone who is a very consistent driver. We heard him. He feels confident. By the way, Q3 has started, but we're just waiting to get you in there when something happens, and that's where we can go right now. On board with Nicolas Longuet, the guy that told me he was incredibly confident, like uber confident coming into this season, and it seems to be showing.
Well, he's got to put his money where his mouth is now. This is the time to shine in Q3. If he's timed it well and he's planned Q1 and Q2 well, he's going to have a new set of soft tyres. Only time will tell when he has crossed the line whether he is actually on a new set of tyres. We'll be able to see that. But right now, he's going to be on his fast lap. He's going to need to put himself right at the top there. And you can just see the little box over the bottom right of your screen, and that is to hide the brake bias and the differential settings. Obviously, setup is so important for these cars. All of the cars are equal in the game. All of the rigs are equal. But what is different between each team and each driver are the setups that they are using. You can change so many things on the cars, from aerodynamics, suspension, tires, brakes. and obviously that is why that is blocked off right now. So no sneaky teams behind their drivers right now. Could be looking at that green. Oh, okay, that's what he's running on the front brake bias. Maybe we should have a little look into that. But here comes Nicholas Longuet to finish his first lap in Q3. Is on a new set of tyres. It's a 27.4. It's a strong lap, but that will most likely be on a used set of tyres. Lucas Blakely beats him with a 0.4 as well. Danny Beresne into the 0.5s. He had a very strong Q2. We've got other drivers to come across the line. The Alpha Tauri of Jed, 27.7, not going to be a new tyres. Nothing good to really show for qualifying at the moment, but just to get your eye in, Steph, ready for when it matters later on.
Very much so. As you can see, we're riding on board with Alfie Butcher. He's just putting in lap after lap. My God, what a fantastic run he's having so far. 1:27.2, quickest time on the board for now, but there is still plenty of time to go when it comes to setting at these lap times. We are with Jarno Opmeer right now. He's coming around the final corner all the way wide as he puts his foot down to get to the line. And what's it good enough for? It's P8 at the minute.
Yeah, P8 there for Jarno Opmeer. Not the best lap, but that could be on a used set of tyres. Just as I say, getting your eye in, ready to go for later. And that's when it's all going to matter. That's when they're all fighting for that 1 point in the last few minutes of this qualifying session.
Yes, still 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. The track is completely evolving, as Tom mentioned before. It's all about waiting for the optimal time. The drivers are going to want to be getting out very close to the end of the session to be getting the most amount that they can get out of the cars, out of the tyres, and out of the track as well. Something interesting is we're riding with Jarno Opmeer. We're watching him do a lap. We're watching him head around the circuit right now. Will he be able to put it on pole? He's been on pole here before. Can he replicate that?
Interesting to see. Freddie Rasmussen, no lap time from him. He was out on track though, so he has thrown away that new set of tyres that he potentially would have had because he did invalidate on that lap. So Freddie Rasmussen, not going to be how he would want to start this Q3 session, but there's still time. There is still going to be one more lap that he can set, and obviously his stats speak for themselves, don't they, Tom?
Yes, they do, Hayden. I was just hearing from our race director, our director in my ear, saying he cannot believe this. It's such an exciting Q3. So good to see someone like Jed Norgrove, a rookie, making his way through finalist in the Pro Exhibition a couple of times. And Alfie Butcher, do you think so far, Q3, the talking point is Alfie Butcher? That is the name that we didn't know coming into 2023. And now that's the one that we're going to be talking about a lot.
It's the name on everybody's lips right now. He's doing a stellar job, excellent performance from him, coming out P1. He's just putting in lap after lap. He's really, it seems like he's at one with his rig, and he's just completely involved in everything. As we are seeing the pit lane right now, we're waiting for the drivers to come out on what will be their final lap. One last chance for them to set an excellent time, for them to set the optimal time to put them on pole position. And we're just waiting a couple more minutes potentially as some of the drivers are starting heading out. We saw a Ferrari head out. That was Nicholas Longuet. We're seeing Mercedes heading out. So there's drivers who are starting their laps. Nicholas Longuet heading out on an outlap, the first to bite. He has been on pole in Bahrain twice in 2021 and 2020 before that as well. Danny Beresne also heading out on his outlap as well. What can those two drivers do, Hayden?
Well, they're going to want to try and put it on pole position, won't they? But before we get into that, we're on the outlaps at the moment. I think they're going so early just to make sure that they don't get caught up in traffic. They get the best preparation before the lap. But let's go through it. Who are our picks for pole position? I am looking at that board right now, and I'm going to take the one that everybody wants. I'm going Alfie Butcher. I'm going for the rookie.
What? Hang on a minute. You've got to choose first.
Yeah, you've got to let us answer the question before you answer your own question.
What do you reckon then, Steph?
Do you know what? I'm putting my money on Lucas Blakely.
Oh, that was mine.
Sorry.
Do you know what? We know he's got incredible pace, and I reckon Thomas Ronhaar is going to deliver here because I saw it so many times last season in 2022 of F1 sim racing. So I'm going to go with Thomas Ronhaar. Maybe that's a bit idiotic of me, I don't know, but he's currently P2 at the moment, so let's see if he can improve on that. Freddie Rasmussen yet to set a time, but I just love this. We've just got new names getting into Q3 that we can start to get excited about, and Alpine have needed a driver to continually get into Q3 to give them the best opportunity to get and accrue as many points as they possibly can. And who's this guy? Ruben Pedreno. And then it's the Spanish, because Danny Moreno is the third driver at McLaren Shadow. And then, of course, you have the Williams drivers over there, Alvaro Carreton and Ismael Fassi, who are completing those Spanish drivers.
Yeah, quite a lot of Spaniards in the lineup. Obviously, we've got some great Spaniards in Formula One, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, so idols of theirs. But let's get into where it matters in Q3, riding on board with the French driver of Nicolas Longuet in the Scuderia Ferrari. P4 at the moment, but he's going to want to improve as he heads down into the first corner. Hard on the brakes at the 100-meter board. Kisses the apex on the right-hand side. A little bit of the back end, stepping out to drift it around the corner. Get that extra rotation to set yourselves up through turn 2, turn 3. They are fundamental corners because you want to maximize the straight line speed down here. And at the moment, Steph, he's 1/10 up.
He is, and he's on that delta. He's going to be keeping an eye on that throughout this whole lap and wanting to stay in the green, stay in the head, and that is a purple Sector 1 for Nicolas Longuet, the fastest time we've seen so far out in Sector 1 as he heads into Sector 2. Very tight and technical there as he heads into the turn 8 hairpin and comes to the very difficult corners of turn 9 and 10. A bit far away from the apex there, definitely not hitting it the way he would want to as he heads down this final DRS zone or into this left-hander. Nicolas Longuet on his final flying lap into the left-hander, again left before he hits the double right-hander. Smooth foot to the floor on the throttle. Qualifying is complete, so hopefully all the drivers have started their final flying laps there onto the final long straight. He goes up the gears before he hits the final hard braking zone there of turn 14 and 15 right there before he's onto the main straight, wanting to make sure he's got that lap done. He had a purple Sector 2 as well. It's got to be a fantastic lap from Nicolas Longuet. There
what a lap.
On to pole position, provisional pole. But Danny Beresne has just knocked him off. He's gone on pole as well. As we're riding on board with Jed Norgrove there, we can see the McLaren coming down as well. Lucas Blakely, it's not good enough for pole. It's just going to be P2. We've got more drivers setting the times. Alfie Butcher yet to set his time as well. We can see that is Alvaro Carreton coming down as well. What's that good enough for? Just P8. Here is the man. It's Alfie Butcher. It's only P2, but it's an excellent start. It's an excellent provisional start to his Formula One esports, his sim racing campaign this year. But Thomas Ronhard goes, he takes it. He takes the pole position there. He's had the speed, and he's the one who ends up on pole for this Bahrain Grand Prix here. The inaugural round of F1 Sim Racing 2023. Thomas Ronhard is on pole for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, he is, and I forget who mentioned that. Who was going to get P1? I forget who mentioned it, but let's talk about the man. And we discussed it at the start of this. Thomas Ronhard, the man that had something extra to prove to people, and in kind of the famous way that Brendan Lee did the finger wag to Fabrizio Donoso, he will be doing the finger wag to every doubter out there. Thomas Ronhard, he has proven the pace. Look at it with his arms back there. That will mean so much to him, won't it, Hayden?
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible what he received last season, and as we can all see, it was all wrong. We're here in a live event. We're back in a position where everything's the same. Everything on the files, on the computer is all the same. And he's come out, he's on pole position, he's on top, and he's proved all those doubters wrong.
What a great way to start 2023. But then again, that man there, Alfie Butcher, one of the youngest drivers in 2023, doesn't even look fazed by it. He looks so calm. Do you reckon that's the kind of youth coming through there where he's fearless?
He's cool, calm, and collected, isn't he? Cool as a cucumber.
He is.
Just having a little sip of water. I need a sip of water after that. That was an excellent end to the qualifying session. Literally had me on my toes the whole time.
And it's a repeat of last season, Thomas Ronhard, who was racing for Haas. There's a repeat of, hey, there's another fast driver. They seem to be able to get fast drivers, Haas. They might not have that experience, but just raw pace, they definitely have. And Hayden is lining up an interview. P7 for Freddie Rasmussen. That was another driver that I managed to clock their time. P7, not probably the way he wanted to start, but at the same time, it's all up for grabs as we go racing a little bit later on. I would love to hear from him. He's the man of the moment. P1, the man, Hayden.
Yeah, I'm down here with the pole position man. The man of the moment, Thomas Ronha. We're back in a live event. We know what everyone was saying last season, but you're back here, you're on top. What does this mean to you?
It's, the perfect start to the season, and, especially with Brendan, he was struggling quite a bit, so I have to, think about, what's going to happen in the race, but, to already get, my first points of the season, because obviously now we have, a point for pole position, so that's always a good start, and, the lap itself, it felt incredible. The pressure was really on into the last corner, getting a bit nervous, obviously, but that's normal, but, extremely happy with the pole position.
Well, you touched upon it. You've got the 1 point. You're currently leading the championship at the moment. We go into the race that's going to be tonight. What are you looking at going into there to make sure you take the big amount of points and also become the first event champion?
Yeah, I think obviously, look at last season, the start is crucial around there. Last year I was in the front row as well, but, dropped a P5 at the start. So anything can happen, just gotta, be myself, stay focused, and let's see what happens.
Well, you said it just before. You started on the front row last season. Last season, though, was your first ever race in the F1 sim racing. What are you going to do differently this season? Is that experience of a season going to help you to maybe not make the mistakes that were made and make sure you stay up front?
Yeah, I think, having that 1 year experience already right now is going to probably do me a bit of a favour heading to the races, and, points are there at the end of the race and not at the start of the race. So that's one thing to keep in mind, and like I said, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen in esports.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas. Well done on pole position. Absolutely smashed it. We look forward to seeing you racing later on, and I'll see you later. One person also I want to go chat with is Alfie Butcher. If we can break up this team meeting at the moment. You're a rookie on the grid, but you put yourself right up at the front. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, obviously I didn't expect something like this, but honestly I quite lost for words. But yeah, I'm really happy, and hopefully this can transform into a good race for me.
You've got Thomas on the front at the moment. There were mistakes made from him last season. We're going to try and make sure that you don't do what he did, but what are you going to do to put yourself in front of him and potentially win on debut?
Well, obviously I'm going to do my best to get a good start, get a good getaway, because that's going to be key. Everyone knows it's a tough track to overtake on, and this game isn't maybe the best for overtaking, but obviously we're going to try and do our best, and let's see, we might be able to fight for the win.
Well, I wish you all the best later. Congratulations on a fantastic qualifying. Tom, back to you.
Thank you very much, Hayden. Hey, I tell you what, he's young in age, but very wise words there, knows what he has to do, and that's how sort of advanced these drivers are. They're all so lovely to chat to, and they're so knowledgeable, and they know exactly what's expected of them and what they have to do. Who impressed you most so far today?
I mean, I've got to start with Alfie Butcher there. He did a fantastic job. But I'd also like to give another mention to the other rookies who made it through. Ruben Pedreño. We had another rookie. Who was the other rookie? Jed Norgrove. They both did really well to get through to Q3, beating out some drivers with leagues of experience. And they've done a great job to put themselves in the perfect position for the start of the race. They're right up at the front of the grid. They're definitely in the mix.
Yeah, in the mix, which is what we like to see. Ruben Pedreño representing for Alpine. Anyone stand out for you? Maybe Danny Berezny, back to a little bit of old form that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, strong showing from both Mercedes drivers, getting themselves into Q3. Obviously, that's very, very important. You're already in a points position, but it all comes down to strategy later and how well they're going to work together. It's a good start to the season, something I'm sure that they're going to want to build upon to put themselves further up and fight for wins. But I think fantastic there for Danny Berezny to come back. And as I said, he thrives in this environment, and it looks like he's showing just that.
How much easier is it to chat to drivers that are very happy with their performance, Hayden?
Oh, so much easier. I was scared. I was scared in Q1. Simon Weigang, he's a very, very strong guy, and I thought he's going to have me.
Yeah, he's going to... No, listen, you got a tough job. Did fantastically there. Right, let's look at the starting grid. That's what you guys want to see. Later on tonight, we will have the race in Bahrain, the first race of the 2023 season. And as you can see, starting grid, this may or may not be accurate as we expect right now, but just wanting to know who's in P1, P2 at the moment, that start of that grid, because it's going to be a real battle in that first right-hander. What would be your strategy? You want to be on the inside or on the outside?
Well, it's a tricky one because the turn one is obviously a right-hander, so you'll think you want to be on the inside for turn 1. But if you can hang it around the outside, you're going to get the inside for turn 2, and you can potentially then dictate what the driver is doing alongside you to get that slingshot down up into turn 4, and then that is the important corner to make sure you have the inside line for going into there to defend, and then you lead and see what happens after that. But obviously we've seen it before last season, Thomas Ronhaar, Freddie Rasmussen, he's going to be wanting to avoid that, but will that potentially make him more cautiously over someone like Alfie Butcher, who's got a point to prove, being a very strong rookie coming in?
Lucas Blakely, the champ, the world champ, reigning champion. What did you make of his performance so far? I mean, there's not much data to look at, Steph, but impressed by him?
Yeah, just a couple of the qualifying sessions. No, but he did do a great job coming straight out of the block in Q1, obviously, and that stellar lap out of absolutely nowhere. He's done a great job so far. I can't remember where he ended up finishing, but you know, he was right in the mix at the point for pole position, so he's definitely up there. But yeah, gunning for the win.
Gunning for the win, but again, last season it was him and Barry that were able to work together. Because let's not forget, that Team Constructors Championship is where the considerable amount of the prize pool is. So you really want 2 drivers in that Q3, and Mercedes are one of those teams that have got 2 drivers in.
Well, you made a great point there with Mercedes, because it was Lucas and Barry kind of bullying Jarno Opmeer last season here in Bahrain. We're able to get that upper hand. Now we see the opposite with Danny Beresne and Jarno, them guys doing the bullying on Lucas Blakely. We're just going to have to wait and see later on. But a very strong performance from him. He's still up the front fighting for that potential win, and it's all going to come down to what happens later. Yes, okay, they've missed out on the 1 point for pole position. It is only 1 point. The big points are scored on race day.
This is Monaco. Day to day, I'm basically here, if that makes sense. This is really where I spend most of my time. Where are you going? So my family have been a massive influence. Even once I switched from karting to sim racing, they've always supported me and always tried to give me the best.
Mum, Dad, Zach, I love you. I know you're watching. This is our championship.
So without them, I would not be where I am at all today.
Lucas Blakely, take a bow! You're champion of 2022!
A lot of familiar faces in that McLaren Shadow team, winning the Team Constructors. One of the guys, Jonah, I see him over there now, is engineering. But the main man, the reigning world champ, what have you made of qualifying today, Lucas?
Yeah, massive challenge. Yeah, just so great to be back in an environment like this. Yeah, something we've missed for a long time, so great feeling. And yeah, it was very, very challenging. Made life pretty difficult for myself, which I seem to be quite good at in these sessions. Yeah, had to do 2 runs all the way through Q1 and Q2. And yeah, thankfully managed to put it P4 in the end, which honestly I don't think I've ever been this happy with P4. I'm just, yeah, really happy to be at the sharp end. Good way to start the season. And yeah, big thanks to McLaren Shadow, of course, for supporting us in the build up to this year. It's been a long process of getting ready, you know, working hard with, you know, our teammates and our, you know, engineers. So yeah, big thanks to each and every member, because this is, yeah, a lot of work that's went into it.
Yeah, flying the flag for Scotland, you and Wilson Hughes. Talk to me about how he's feeling right now, not getting into Q2. How do you, as another driver, lift his spirits and get ready for the race?
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously have some discussions after after qualifying. I think the key thing now is just to, you know, let everything simmer down a little bit. You know, the adrenaline you have, even just sitting static in one of these rigs, is a lot. And you know, it's a new environment for everybody. It's a massive challenge, but I have every faith in, you know, Wilson being able to make a good comeback in the race, because I know what he's got, and yeah, he's got a lot to show. So I'm looking forward to see how he gets on.
Lucas is a very strong qualifying from himself, being in P4, but it's so close amongst all the drivers. How do you put yourself in this mindset to be able to beat those? Because it's so little amount of time. It's thousands, hundredths of a second between you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a giant psychological battle with yourself, you know, all the way through qualifying, you know, especially when you're on the cusp of, you know, elimination. Yeah, I was P20 in Q1 because I invalidated my lap, so, you know, you're just constantly trying to focus, believe in yourself, which is the #1 thing, all the way throughout the qualifying. And yeah, especially when you get to Q3, you know, it's that one last lap when the track's at its best, everyone's on new tyres, and yeah, you know, that's when it gets squeaky. So yeah, it's never easy. Like, the thing is everyone thinks it's, you know, the best drivers are able to, you know, just do it every time.
it never gets easier. Every time it's just as difficult to deliver a lap, but that's why it makes it so rewarding. And yeah, once more as well, big congrats to Thomas on pole position as well.
And it's been a good start to the season for you with that P4. How do you see the rest of the season going? Obviously, it's a long season. You don't want to be too aggressive at the start.
Yeah, it's a long old season ahead. Obviously, you know, once the lights go out, your racing instincts are going to kick in. You want to go for moves and, you know, try and make up as many positions as possible. But I think, you know, I think this is like my 5th season now. So I think, you know, you just learn more and more what risks to take and when to do it. And that's always the challenge. But I think, you know, coming away with some good points would give me a very big smile to leave here with. So yeah, I'm honestly so excited for later, and I'm super happy.
I'm not sure if you are aware of the starting grid and how it's going to look as people at home are anticipating. They know you're P4. They know Thomas Ronar's P1. Let's find out how things are going to shape up in the starting grid. So Simon Weigang in 20th, Wilson Hughes down in 19th. Your teammate obviously going to be coming up with some sort of strategy to help the rest of the McLaren Shadow team as Lucas leaves the desk area now. And we move on to Fabrizio Donoso, a fantastic driver, huge amount of ability. He's on 99 points in his F1 sim racing career. Can he get that century? Brendan Lee starts down in 15th with a rookie Ismail Fassi of Williams in 16th. Brendan Lee knows what to do in this situation. Tom Manley, the rookie, I just spoke to him just a second ago, just to say top start. He'll want to improve on that. And Josh Edo up into 13th position there in qualifying, which is exactly the same qualifying position that he had last year. Patrick Sipos in 12th. And then the man who has just joined us on the desk. Oh, I've given it away. He is in 11th. Let's look at the started top 10 for this race in Bahrain. It's Jarno Opmeer starts in 10th with Alvaro Caraton in 9th on the grid. And Hayden, we move along to the 8th and 7th place position of Jed Norgrove and Freddie Rasmussen. All to do with Ruben Pedreno. What a fantastic start for him in 6th. Nicholas Longue in 5th. And then we move on to Lucas Blakely, which we just spoke to on the desk in 4th. Alfie Butcher in 3rd place there. And then there you have it. A bit of the old guard and the new guard together. Second, it's a P2 for Danny Presney, and starting at P1 is Thomas Ronhar. But joining us on the desk, and he must have joined us because Steph picked him in a power rankings top 5 drivers. Barry, talk to us about that quali.
Yeah, first of all, hello to everyone, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I mean, nothing to really say. Of course, it's my first ever LAN, and yeah, of course, the pressure is quite high. But I mean, Q1 was all right, Q2 was also all right, and then the lap was a little bit messy, the second one, and still I was up, and it was enough. And then in the last corner, I got a screen freeze, and then unfortunately, I couldn't manage the corner, and I went straight. So I couldn't go to Q3, unfortunately.
These things happen when you're racing as a sim racer. It's all about how you bounce back from that. What will be the strategy come race time, Barry?
Yeah, as you said, I'm trying to just forget it and trying to bounce back from it, because still the points are mostly in the race. I mean, all of it in the race. So yeah, I'm just going to speak to the team. What is the best strategy to do to bounce back? And hopefully it will work.
Can I just nip in, Steph? Hayden?
Of course.
How good does it feel to be wearing the red of Ferrari? Come on, talk to me about that move from McLaren Shadow. How good does it feel to be part of Scuderia Ferrari?
To be honest, if I want to say it, honest opinion, of course, like being part of the Ferrari is a really big pleasure. And not gonna lie, I'm just trying to enjoy it as much as I can. And I remember that the day one, I signed the contract. I was just wearing the jersey, and I was looking at myself in the mirror. I was like, yeah, it suits me perfectly.
You've always been a red as well. I know you're a red in football because we're both reds. No, but how are you going to take what you've learnt so far into the race and kind of learn on that? Because it's a brand new environment, you know, brand new sim rig. How is that all of the learning helping you when it comes to the race?
To be honest, in these past few years, I kind of got so many experience in the race, and I'm trying to use it as much as I can. And trying to be calm. I think it's first race of the season. It's quite crucial to be calm, to be patient. And I still think 11th is not ideal. Yeah, of course, it's not ideal, but I think still I can bounce back from it.
Barry, you weren't the only one switching from McLaren over to Ferrari. You brought head coach or one of your team members, Jona Martins, with you as well. How important is that for you, working so closely in a very successful season at McLaren, to then be more comfortable for yourself and potentially fight at the front again with Ferrari?
To be honest, last year me and Jona worked quite well together. I feel the connection was quite good. Everything was quite well, and then when I had the opportunity to join, of course, Ferrari, I told Jona, and then I spoke to him because, of course, his opinion also matters to me, and he also was fine to join the Ferrari, of course, and we both agreed, and we are here.
At F1 Esports is the socials that's been on the screen. Barry, just a final question before we wrap things up in this quali and then get ready in about an hour and a half's time to go racing. What did you make of Alfie Butcher? Shocked, surprised, or just really congratulating a young, exciting driver?
To be honest, I just want to congratulate him, such a nice lad, and I just wish him good luck, super talented, and I just wish everyone's that doing their debut good luck, and I hope they're doing well, because I know how does it feel.
Hey, Barry, always fantastic speaker and talking about the other drivers. Love it. Hayden, Barry, Steph, to everybody for watching, thank you very much. Keep on board with our socials. You'll get the latest on that. But we'll be coming back here in an hour and a half time to go racing in Bahrain. Don't miss it. We'll see you there.